Okay, then we'll start the class. So yesterday we saw what are the meanings for the words in the preamble, right? So today we'll continue with it. Does anyone have any doubts with the class of yesterday?
No, sir.
Okay, then. So there are 4 parts in the preamble, and I hope you guys remember it. Okay. So today we'll see the meaning of the objectives of the Constitution. Can someone tell me what are the 4 objectives? Okay. So the 4 objectives are justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. So justice in the sense of social, economic, and political, right? So what does this justice in the sense of social, economical, and political mean? Can someone say? So actually, originally the preamble depicts 3 forms of justice. That is social, economical, and political. So what does this actually mean is that social justice depicts the equal treatment of all the citizens within the geographical extent of India, beyond the geographical extent which is under the Indian government, where everyone, irrespective of their religion, race, sex, caste, color, they should not be discriminated based on this thing. So, equal treatment for all. That means social justice. So, you cannot discriminate any person based on their religion, color, place of birth, or anything. That is what social justice means. And economic justice means that non-discrimination between the people while providing the opportunities. That is, for example, the government may come up with a new scheme where it wants to start a biogas plant. So if the government says that people of X state can only participate in the process of building biogas all over the country, then that means that it is a discrimination towards the other people who are in the rest of the places of countries, right? So that is a way of discrimination. So it cannot state that people from so and so part of the country can only participate. But there are certain exceptions to this also. For example, to uplift the downtrodden or women or children, the government can make special policies. This is exclusively given in fundamental rights under a clause under Article 16. Okay, Article 15 and 16, it has been given. So there are certain exceptions to these two for the social justice and place of social justice. If it is of religious nature, then there can be certain rules. So I'm just telling you the overall perspective. We'll see what are these exceptions and what are those things where certain rules can be placed and certain things can be done by the government itself. Okay, so next is the political justice. So political justice is also one of the most important justices because all citizens all citizens should have equal political rights. That is, they all must have equal rights to vote, equal rights to compete in election, and equal voice against the government and voice towards the government. So if at all you don't like any policies which the government passes, you must have the right, or you must have the like you must have all the rights to speak against the government too. So that is what political justice means. So justice in the sense of social, economic, and political. Then comes the liberty. So liberty in the sense of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship. So all these liberties must be given to a person in order for him to function in an independent manner or to be himself, right? So absence of these don't it doesn't help in the progressive development of an individual. So if for an individual to develop, he must have all these liberties, right? He must have the liberty of thought, which is a main perspective for an individual to evolve himself. And he must also be able to express that. And he would have believed in something, so he will have faith. He will worship a certain god. So the government has no say or even as an individual, we don't have a say to change the perspective of a person or the religion of a person. If at all, when you guys get married in the future and your offsprings, you being in a religion X, and if they want to follow the religion Y, you cannot force your children to follow your religion. That doesn't make any sense, right? The constitution has provided all the rights for a person to follow any religion. One person cannot influence another person to follow a religion. So that is what liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship provides, right? These have been enshrined in the fundamental rights and are guaranteed for each and every citizen of the country. Next is equality. So much about equality in the fundamental rights chapter, because you guys know right to equality has a separate topic in fundamental rights. Right. Here, short and sweet. Equality means absence of social privileges to any sections or any sector of the country or society. There is no special treatment for any particular part of the society. Right. As a whole, you can give. There are certain classes of the society which were suppressed in the historical times. So to uplift them, the government can bring in policies or the government can bring in special set of rules for them that is not exempted. But you cannot give special status to a set of people in a society without necessary. So fraternity, can someone tell me the meaning of the word fraternity? Just rough meaning is enough.
Something like being friendly, sir.
Yeah, it's one of the meanings. Anyone else? Okay, actually, being friendly is a good meaning. This fraternity actually means people who share a same interest or same profession. It's like a sense of brotherhood, right? So when you guys join with the defense forces, you will have a sense of brotherhood with your buddies. So that is what fraternity means. So can someone repeat the words which the preamble depicts for fraternity? So assuring the dignity of an individual and unity and integrity of the nation. So this is what fraternity means. So actually, fraternity, that is the constitution tries to promote a sense of brotherhood between the citizens itself. It tries to promote that even though being diverse, even though being a large country with a lot of diversity, it wants to unite its people. So as we can function as a nation as a whole. So that is what it tries to teach people. So this is what preamble means. Does anyone have any doubts in any sector of the preamble?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. So I have not given the explanations here. It's only from the class which you can take. Right. So the ideas of liberty, equality, fraternity have been taken from the French Revolution. And the concept of justice was taken from the Russian Revolution. So these are the originations from where these keywords were taken. So here comes the main part. There is amendability of the preamble. Can someone tell me what have I said in the previous classes about the amendability of the preamble? You have the keywords here itself, case of the case, and you have the whole writing here. I want someone to explain me what I've said.
They can be made changes in the recent added ones, but it cannot change the base of the preamble.
Yeah, that's right. That is, it cannot change the basic structure of the constitution. You can just change the word preamble because the preamble depicts the constitution. So you cannot make changes to the basic structure of the constitution. Other than that, you can make any other changes. So it was at this time where the first question arises whether the preamble can be amended or not. Yeah. So that is when the Supreme Court said you can change anything, but not you cannot destroy or damage, or you can alter the basic structure of the constitution. Also, there were various cases in the history where there were questions whether preamble is a part of constitution or not, because this was not originally in the constitution when the constitution was passed, right? It was actually an objective resolution moved by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. So that is what preamble is. So in various cases, the Supreme Court has given various interpretations. Certain cases, it has given that preamble is an integral part. Apart from it, in certain cases, it has also given that preamble is a part of the Constitution. So that is not required for your exams, just for information. So moving to the next chapter, Union and its territories. So I've said you guys about the Schedule 1, right? So I mentioned there Article 1 to 4 deals with the Union and its territories. Can someone tell me, there was a recent controversial issue where there was a commotion going to name India as Bharat. Are you guys aware of it?
Yes, sir.
So actually, Bharat is not a new name for India because it has been given in the Constitution in the first article itself. It says that is Article 1 describes India as, that is here I've given it. India, that is Bharat. Sorry, Article 1 describes India, that is Bharat, as a union of states rather than federation of states. Okay. It depicts India as a union of states and not a federation. Because federation means that all the states giving in an agreement to collaborate to join a center. But we have not, that is, India was not formed in that sense. India was formed by accumulating all the territories. That is, the political leaders went in calling all territories and merging it with India. So that is how India was formed. That is, you guys will learn more about it in the history classes. I hope your history classes have started, right? So actually, the Constitution itself gives its name, that is Bharat. So actually, the territories of the Indian government include all the territories that are owned by India apart from the geographical extent of India, and even the territories which are abroad. That is, the embassies in all countries are the Indian territories. That is why when there is an attack on any country's embassy, it is a war declared against the country. Because you attack the nation's own. So, can someone tell me, can the states of India separate to form a separate nation? Does our constitution give any provision for this thing?
No, sir.
It's right. No state in the Indian Dominion or under the Indian Constitution cannot go separate to form a new nation. That is, we as a whole are an indestructible union. So the Constitution says it. That is, India, that is Bharat. India, that is Bharat, is a union of states with destructible, is it visible? Destructible states and indestructible union. That is, the states can be destroyed. That is, two states can be merged to form one state, or one state can be broken to form two or three states. But the Indian Union as a whole cannot be destructed. But for USA, it is in the other sense. That is, you cannot, the states are also indestructible and the union is also indestructible. So in USA, you cannot destroy the states as well as the union. So that is what is the difference between ours and the US's. So what are the territories that are defined under Article 1? There are three types of territories. The first thing is the territories of the states. Second is the union territories. Third is the acquired territories. Can someone give me two examples of acquired territories which is present in India as of now?
Goa and Sikkim.
Yeah, Goa, Sikkim, Pondi, then Daman and Diu. So these all were acquired territories. So a short information, Sikkim was acquired from, it was not acquired, it was given to us from the Chaugyal dynasty. So we will learn about that in the history. So Article 2. Article 2 states that the Parliament has power to admit or establish new states. That is, if at all you want to admit a foreign territory into the Union of India, the power to the Parliament is given by Article 2. And establishment of new states. That is, in 2014, Andhra Pradesh was broken into two states, that is Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. So where does the Constitution derive its power from? That is Article 2. And Article 3 also supports Article 2, or you can say Article 3 is the main, in this perspective, it is the main thing. So that is Article 3. According to Article 3, the Parliament has the power to establish new states, alter the areas, boundaries, names of the existing states, even without the approval of that concerned state. Okay, so this is the main point. I'm not given in this slide, but please note it. Okay, so the Parliament can form a new state, or it can alter the areas, boundaries, names of the existing state, even without the concerned state government's permission. So that means that only the Parliament can approve. Parliament and President can approve it, right? That is the Parliament. Once it has decided to change the, for example, let us consider the 1969 scenario here. Okay, in 1969, Madras was renamed as Tamil Nadu. So let us consider that Parliament has decided to change the name of Madras to Tamil Nadu. So Madras to Tamil Nadu. Let us consider the Madras peoples don't have any idea to change the name from Madras to Tamil Nadu, but the Parliament has decided. So the Parliament will initiate the procedure. It will complete the procedure in the Parliament. It will send its opinion to the President, or it send the bill to the President. So the President will ask the state government of Tamil Nadu, the opinion of state government of Tamil Nadu. But the opinion of the state government doesn't matter here. Even if the state government objects it and the Parliament wants to pass that bill, the bill stands passed. And the name of that particular state is changed. So the Parliament has unanimous power in this respect, right? But the Parliament doesn't use the power in that way. It has powers to do this thing. So that is what the point here is. Okay. So next is the Article 4. So I've said you guys about the Constitutional Amendment Act, right? So if a part of the Constitution or if anything has to be amended, it needs to go through a lot of process, which is somewhat difficult in order to complete it. So if at all a new state wants to be added to the Indian Dominion or the Indian territory, or a new state has to be formed, but certain sectors of the country doesn't accept it, then it will be hard for them to do it, right? So to bypass the constitutional amendment procedures, Article 4 has been created in the Indian Constitution at the beginning itself. That what it states is that laws made under Article 2 and 3 to provide for the amendment of the first and fourth schedules and supplemental, incidental, and consequential matters do not have to follow the Constitutional Amendment Act. That is, if you amend the Constitution in respect to Article 2 and 3, that is, if you admit or establish a new state, or if you form a new state or alter the areas, boundaries, or names of the existing states, it need not go through the procedure of Constitutional Amendment Act. It can be altered in the Constitution with the help of Article 4 itself. So anything apart from this has to go to the Constitutional Amendment procedures, except for the addition of new states or altering the boundaries or names of the existing states can bypass this procedure. So that is what Article 4 states. So do you guys have your notes ready? Or are you guys taking notes?
Yes.
Okay, now I'll tell you guys about the reorganization of the states. Actually, in 1956, we didn't have 28 states, which we have now. Okay. We had just 14 states and 6 union territories. So I'll give you what are the states which were formed when. So the chronology of states is important because it has been asked quite a number of times in your exams. I'll be writing it down. I'll not give it in the notes or I'll not give any pictures of it. I'll be writing down. Please note it. Okay. So first we'll see what reorganization of states is and why was it done and what was the reason behind the reorganization of states in a linguistic manner. So initially, the princely states were integrated to form the Indian dominion or the Indian government as a whole. So initially there were 4 sectors of the states which were created to administer. So there were Part A, Part B states, and Part C states and Part D states. So Part A, Part B were once a princely territory or it was under the governor's rule. Part C was centrally administered by the British provinces. And Part D was actually the Andaman Nicobar Islands, which was separated from the mainland of India. So this was how the country was administered during the British period. But once we gained the independence, there were certain commissions which were set up in order to reorganize the states. Okay. So I've given you Fazil Ali Commission as the first one. So in 1953, Fazil Ali Commission was set up. That is under Fazil Ali, H.N. Kanzu, and the other people. Even before this thing, in 1948, our commission was set up. So our commission and JVP committee both were set up in the year of 1948. I think so. One was set up in the month of June and the other in the month of December within a gap of 6 months. So these two committees were set up in the first place, which were immediately after the independence. So this was set up because initially there was a demand from the southern states for a linguistic state. They wanted themselves to be divided into linguistic groups in order to form a state. So that was the reason the Commission JVP committee was set up. But both the committees have rejected the linguistic. There is a linguistic as a criteria to set up a state. But rather than that, they suggested the methods of administrative reforms or to separate the states or to segregate the states in a manner where the administration will be in a convenient manner to take place. But the Fazil Ali Commission was set up in 1953. The reason Fazil Ali Commission was set up is that a person named Potti Sriramalu after the class. So Potti Sriramalu was a person from the Andhra state or a Telugu speaking person who protested the need of a separate linguistic state called Andhra Pradesh for the Telugu people. So he died while protesting, which sparked an outrage in several parts of the country. So thus, Fazil Ali Commission was set up in order to create states based on linguistic basis because due to the protest of Potti Sriramalu, the state of Andhra Pradesh was created in 1953. So Andhra Pradesh was the first state that was created based on the criteria of linguistics. So after the formation of the state of Andhra Pradesh, many other states started to request or many other states started to demand for a linguistic based state because Andhra Pradesh was given the status. So thus, this Fazil Ali Commission was set up in order to reorganize the states. So actually identify 4 major factors that can be taken into account to reorganize the states. So it was to preserve and strengthen the unity and security of the country. Because when you divide people based on the linguistic basis, they tend to form groups within themselves and they tend to form the unity between themselves and they are able to forego the unity of the nation. So they wanted to preserve the unity and security of the nation. And the second thing was they wanted to preserve the linguistic and cultural homogeneity, right? And the financial, economic, and administrative considerations were also to be made because, for example, there might be a certain sector of people who are in a certain linguistic background where they were oppressed during the British rule. So as for them to develop, you have to just group them with a people or a set of people who is having well established set of financial environment, right? You cannot just segregate people on linguistic basis, leaving them not to develop. So that was a main point which was also considered. So the fourth point was it was also to promote the welfare of the people in each state, right? These four were the criteria of Facility Commission to form states based on linguistic criteria. So, and thus, there were 14 states formed. So, I'll just read out the states. Just have a vague idea. I'll give you when and where, when the states were formed. So, from that, you can have a conclusion. So, actually, Andhra Pradesh, Assam, Bihar, Bombay, Jammu Kashmir, Kerala, Madhya Pradesh, Madras, Mysore, Orissa, Punjab, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, and West Bengal were actually the states which were formed in 1956. So there is 14 states and 6 union territories were created on 1st November 1956. Okay. So I'll now give the chronology of states and when they were formed. So I'll be giving it tomorrow in the class because I have forgotten the list somewhere in my class. So I have that sort of list. I'll either give it in the class or I'll just post it in your WhatsApp group. Okay. So please note it and please have a vague idea about which state was formed after it. Because the question will be like, the state of Manipur was formed after which state? Or they can ask which state was formed between these two states, right? So this was how the questions were. And last year, a question was like, what is the chronology of states being formed in UP's exam? So that is why I ask you guys to have a read about this thing. I'll give you tomorrow, or I'll post it after 11 o'clock today. Please, someone remind me, or you can just message me asking for the chronology of states because I tend to forget things. So someone can just put up this thing. Any doubts as of now?
No, sir.
So I see 5 people have joined. These 5 people, please remind me to mark your attendance at the end of the class. Right, now a new one has joined, that is 6. So next is the citizenship. So as you guys all know that Indian government doesn't allow dual citizenship, it allows only single citizenship. That is, if you acquire a citizenship of any foreign territory or foreign entity, your citizenship of your Indian citizenship automatically gets revoked or it automatically gets cancelled. So there is no way you can have two citizenship. But even though you forego your citizenship, you will be given a status of person of Indian origin or overseas Indian. So we'll speak about it. So Article 5 to 11 speaks about the citizenship. There's not needed for you guys to go deep into this topic. Have a clear idea of what citizenship is and what the constitution tries to say. So out of these 5 to 11 articles, Article 11 is the main article for you guys to remember. That is, Parliament has the set of authorities that it can regulate the right of citizenship by law. So there are various ways by which you can obtain the citizenship of country. That is you can acquire the Indian citizenship. So the first is that person domiciled in India, person who migrated to India from Pakistan, Indians living in the other countries. So this is the 3 set of categories of person who are entitled to citizenship. So now I'll explain what these mean. Okay. So there are criteria like person domiciled in India. That is, there are certain years. That is, if a person has been born in India or if their parents have been born in India before the independence, then they are eligible to be a citizen of India. So there's no need for you guys. If you guys are preparing for much more other exams which give importance for the general studies, then that is obviously important. But for you, as for you guys, it's concerned, for your defense exams, max plays a major part. GS comes next. As a whole, GS comes next, right? So to acquire the citizenship of India, there are various ways. So the first thing is through birth. So if your parents were Indians or if you were born in India before 1950, 26 Jan, that is when we became republic. If your parents were born in India before 1950 or if you are born in the Indian soil before 50, That's either of the parent, either one father or mother. If they have been born in India, then you have all the rights to become the citizen of India, or by descent, by birth or descent. So if your parents were Indians and you're born to an Indian parent, then you are eligible to become a citizen of India. Unlike the other countries, that is US, if you're born on their soil, then you become eligible to become the citizen, right? Even though both your parents are not US citizens. But if you're born in the soil of US, you're eligible to become the citizen of US. But in India, that's not the case. In India, either of your parents must have been born in India, or they must be a citizen of India. That is, they must be a citizen of India by birth itself. Right. So there is a small difference which exists. So next is registration, through registration. For example, if a foreigner wants to come to India and he wants to become a citizen of India, so how will he be eligible to acquire it? So if a foreigner stays in India for 7 years, and for each year he has to stay above a certain number of days, that is around, I hope it's 180 days, right? So he must stay in India for 7 years, above 180 days. He can obtain the citizenship of India through registration, but he will be required to revoke or give up his old citizenship. So that is when he is eligible to become the citizen of India through registration. Also, the Indian government gives its citizenship to persons who have excelled in various fields. For example, if a person is excelled in music, or if a person is excelled in sports or any particular domain, the Indian Constitution allows the government to give him the citizenship of that country. So these are the possibilities by which a person can become a citizen of India. There is another way too, that is through naturalization. This means that the central government can grant a certificate of naturalization to a person if he has certain qualities. What are those qualities? Is that he must be a citizen of a country that India is not prevented to, that is, if a person originates from a country where Indian citizens are barred from becoming their citizens, then you cannot become a citizen of India through naturalization. That is, our citizens should also be eligible to become the citizens of their country. Then the central government will provide them a certificate of naturalization. Then the citizen of the country must renounce the citizenship of other country. So it is similar to registration. So these both the things go hand in hand. And he must have resided in India for a particular number of days. So I forgot to mention, in registration, a person who was a citizen of India, that is, let us take in your case itself. So you get married, you move abroad. Your children is born in the soil of a foreign country and they become the citizen of that foreign country. But once they reach the age of 18, when they're majors or adults, they want to become a citizen of India again. Then it is possible for them, because the decision of their foreign citizenship was not taken by them, but by you. So at that point of time, a minor child, when they become major, they can become the citizens of India once again on their wish. But they have to renounce their citizenship which they have acquired from the foreign territory. So that is also possible for a person of Indian nature who has gone settled abroad, acquire the foreign citizenship. Their children can come back again and become the Indian citizen. So if India has acquired a territory, or if India has adopted a territory, the people of that territory automatically become the citizens of India. For example, Sikkim was acquired by India. So then the people of Sikkim also become the Indian citizens by nature. So that is how this works. So how can a citizenship be lost? Loss of citizenship. So your citizenship can be lost by yourself revoking it. So when you yourself give up your citizenship, it can be lost, right? That is, you can give your, if a person is above the age of 18, he can take decisions about this thing. But you cannot take decisions on your children's behalf. That will not be the final decision. For example, you have children at the age of 6 or 7. You plan to move abroad. You plan to give up your citizenship. You acquire the citizenship of a foreign country. You also acquire the citizenship and you also revoke the citizenship of your children. Same as in registration, they can again come again and become the citizen of India once again. Right. So the next point is by termination. So termination means that when you acquire the citizenship of another country and you don't revoke your citizenship, that is in the case when you acquire the citizenship of another country, your Indian citizenship will get terminated automatically. Okay. So this the government does by itself. That is what termination is. And by deprivation, the last thing is by deprivation. That is, the Indian government snatches your citizenship on certain conditions or certain issues, like when you have obtained the citizenship of India by fraud. That is, recently you must have heard about the Assam people, where many have infiltrated and got the citizenship. So if you have obtained the Indian citizenship through fraud, then you will be deprived of Indian citizenship instantaneously. If you show any sense of disloyalty, that is, if you do any betrayal to your country, then you can be deprived of your citizenship. And when you have registered yourself through naturalization or registration, and you are not in the country for 2 years, or if you are imprisoned in any country for 2 years, more than 2 years, that is, if you have become a citizen through naturalization or registration, and you have been imprisoned in a country for 2 years, then your citizenship of India will be deprived. And normally, a person who doesn't or who resides out of India for continuously 7 years, he'll be deprived of his citizenship. That is, if you go abroad, you stay abroad for 7 consecutive years and you don't visit India even once, then your citizenship will be deprived. Right? Please note this point. So that is what citizenship means. There are various things like person of Indian origin, overseas citizenship cards, but that is not required or relevant to your syllabus. Right? I'll just give you a short note about what non-resident Indians are and what overseas citizens of India or person of Indian origin means. Right. So non-resident Indians are actually the citizens of India who don't reside in India but are working abroad in order for their jobs. So NRIs are Indian citizens. They work abroad for their living. The tax centers will be in India, but person of Indian origin are not Indian citizens. Are not Indian citizens. They were once Indian citizens, right? Their taxes will not be paid to India, but to the concerned country where they have the financial interest. But you might have a question whether these persons of Indian origins require visa to come to India. No. The persons of Indian origin can visit India n number of times and they don't require a visa. They can stay for any number of times in India. They don't need to have a visa. Like we Indians, because they were Indians, but they have acquired the citizenship of another country. So this is a small difference between non-resident Indians and person of Indian origin. So when does a person become a non-resident Indian? When a person stays abroad for more than 180 days in a year, becomes a non-resident Indian. Right. There are certain criteria apart from 180 days alone, and that's not required, so I'm not giving it here. Right. If at all someone has interest to know more about NRIs and PIOs, you can feel free to contact me. I'll give you a brief explanation about that. Right. So today we'll end the class with the citizenship. Does anyone have any doubts? So I've given here a question of citizenship by birth, by registration, by naturalization, incorporation of territories, loss of citizenship, overseas citizen. Yeah, I given here. You can see what is it. So overseas citizens of India or person of India. So we have seen all the topics. I hope you guys can contact me if you have any doubts.